Chapter 221. Welcome to Baigu Mountain. Bai clan leader's face looked extremely dark. She had understood everything. At first she was hesitant, but after seeing the image in the colorful smoke, only an idiot would not understand what had happened. Bai clan leader was no idiot. In fact, she was wiser than ordinary people. In Fang Yuan's previous life, she was the one who led Bai clan on the resettlement and set the foundation for the next generation's prosperity. Damn it. How could this happen? Those two scoundrels were actually demonic Gu masters. They are too good at acting. Clan leader, the two young masters are in their hands. What do we do? In the tent, the other Gu masters were panicking when they looked at this scene. The situation was terrible. Fang Yuan was holding the two young masters hostage and caused everyone to be cautious in their actions. Bai clan leader forced herself to calm down. She was the birth mother of Bai Hua and Bai Sheng. Her worry and anxiety far surpassed the others. However, as someone in power, she had to have her strengths. Other than her identity as a mother, she was also the clan leader. She first ordered her subordinates to release Tai Dao Ku. We were wrong about you. Tai clan's warrior, I apologize to you here. She stood up and bowed with a sincere expression. Tai Dao Ku snorted. Although he was extremely displeased, he admired Bai clan leader's resolve. After all, he was only a prisoner now. His life and death could have been decided merely at her thought. He gritted his teeth and tried to stand up, but because his body was extremely weak, even this action was taxing on him. Come, bring the Tai clan guest to his seat. Bai clan leader instructed. Tai Dao Ku sat down, fixing his gaze at the colorful smoke. His gaze seemed to be on fire when he looked at Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing, causing others to look away. These two are the demonic Gu masters who escaped Qing Mao Mountain. That explosion trap was set by them. Young Master Tai Ao Tion's death, the ones I am pursuing, are these two youngsters. Tai Dao Ku etched Bai and Fang's appearances and their body shapes into his mind. No, it might not be them. This could all be a misunderstanding. Tai Dao Ku thought of another possibility. He was upright and never killed an innocent. Regardless, I have to confirm it myself. If they aren't, I will pursue the true criminals. If they are, I shall cripple these two rascals' apertures and tear them to pieces. Thinking so, he spoke. Bai clan leader, the matter at hand is to arrest these two scoundrels, as well as saving your clan's two young masters. Tai clan warrior, what do you have to advise me? Bai clan leader wanted to get some useful information from Tai Dao Ku, but she was destined to be disappointed. Tai Dao Ku shook his head, smiling bitterly. I in the cave, swords were brandished. All of you, get out. Do you want me to repeat myself again? Fang Yuan threatened in a cold snicker. Fang Zheng, what are you doing? What is going on? Why are you holding the two young masters hostage? Bai Lian, Bai Sheng, and the others were tongue-tied. They thought he had found the spirit spring, but everything happened in a flash. Who would have thought that Fang Yuan would suddenly go crazy and kidnap the two young masters? Whoosh. Whoosh, whoosh, three figures suddenly appeared. Fang Zheng, you dare to hold our clan's young masters hostage. How dare you? Your crime is unforgivable. Release them, and we may spare you your life. Fang Zheng, release them now, and come back with us. We will let you leave safely. The three clan elders spoke, their expression extremely ugly. They were strong and followed this group the entire time. But the moment they sensed this change, they rushed to the scene. You guys finally decided to show yourselves? Excellent. Fang Yuan snickered. Bai Sheng and Bai Hua struggled intensely in his hands. Evil scoundrel, release us. If you kill me, you will die too. The two children shouted with all their strength. Their faces were turning red from suffocation. These two children were future rank 5 Gu masters, lords of Bai clan, the righteous twin stars. But now, unfortunately, they were defenseless and were being strangled by Fang Yuan. After a while, their eyes started rolling back and their breathing slowed. Fang Zheng, don't make a mistake. Release the two young masters. We've given you the chance. As long as you release the young masters, we will let you leave. We will definitely not pursue you. What do you want? Primeval stones, Gu worms. The three clan elders were anxious, and their eyes revealed a ruthless expression as if they couldn't wait to attack. Humph. Weren't my earlier words clear enough? All of you get out, if not. Fang Yuan laughed deviously, using his gaze to signal to Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing understood, taking out the chainsaw golden centipede. She injected primeval essence into it, and the razors started rotating furiously, moving towards Bai Hua's tender arm. Let go of my sister. Let go. Bai Sheng stared furiously. His breathing started getting rough as he struggled with all his strength, but Fang Yuan used just a little more strength, and his words were stuck in his throat. Don't be rash. Stop, stop. At this point, more and more Gu masters entered, and everyone were screaming in anxiety. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. On the count of 3, if you are not all out of this cave, your young master's limb will be gone. Everyone gritted their teeth, their eyes burning with fire. They wanted nothing more than to chop Fang Yuan into pieces. Still not leaving? Fang Yuan's eyebrows rose, and he moved Bai Hua closer towards the chainsaw. Ah! Everyone screamed. My God! A young female Gu masters covered her eyes. Quickly, get out of the cave. The clan elders shouted. They did not dare to gamble with their young master's lives. Everyone gradually retreated, staring at Fang and Bai on the way out. If gazes could kill a person, Fang Yuan would have been dead 1,000,000 times. If rage was like water, they would have drowned under the tsunami already. When everyone was out of the cave, Fang Yuan passed Bai Hua and Bai Sheng to Bai Ningbing. Before surveying the surrounding, Baigu Mountain was made of bones with no rocks or soil. This cave was the same, white throughout. The cave walls even had sharp bone spikes. Although these bone spikes looked the same as in other caves, in fact, if one observed properly, they would find that these bone spikes were spiral at the tip, different from others. This was the spiral bone cave. Also the entrance to the gray bone scholar's inheritance. The entire Baigu Mountain had many caves, but this was the only cave with so many spiral bone spikes. Fang Yuan had never been here, but in his previous life he had heard many stories which were even testified by Bai Sheng and Bai Hua personally. We entered the spiral bone cave first, then accidentally found a bone spike that could be twisted. It was the mechanism to open the entrance. Fang Yuan thought for a while, before starting to search for that special bone spike. There were uncountable bone spikes in this cave, but in Fang Yuan's previous life, Bai Hua had revealed that back then, when she and her brother had been playing in the back mountain, she saw a large bone spike in the cave, with very closely carved spiral markings. She touched it casually and accidentally twisted it, opening the entrance. Fang Zheng, you are surrounded. There is no way to escape. Come out. To be honest, we were quite kind to you. To think you returned our kindness with ingratitude. Fang Zheng, I'll give you some advice. Leave some leeway for yourself. If anything happens to our young masters, we will take revenge on you with all our might. The cave was not deep. The shouts of the Gu masters could be heard echoing inside. Bai Hua started to sob. Bai Sheng said, Fang Zheng, stop it. Release us, and I will let you two leave in peace. I assure you as the young master. He was young, but was calmer than an adult facing this predicament. The brilliance of a future star was already being displayed in him. Fang Yuan paid them no heed. Suddenly his eyes shone. He took a step forward before stretching his hand towards a rather conspicuous large bone spike. Next, he twisted it lightly. Creak. There was a loud sound, and the bone spikes began to contract. A secret door opened from the side, revealing a squarish cave opening. Bai Ningbing's eyes shone. Bai Hua stopped crying, staring at this change in shock. Ah, there's a cave. Bai Sheng shouted. Humph, keep your mouth shut. Bai Ningbing chopped on his neck, knocking him unconscious. Bai Sheng had screamed on purpose to leave traces for the people outside. As expected, a commotion occurred outside. Cave? Not good. They're trying to escape. Chase. Fang Yuan growled. If anyone dares to step inside, I will kill Bai Sheng first. This shout stopped the Bai clan Gu masters. Fang Yuan quickly walked into the cave. Bai Ningbing also knocked Bai Hua unconscious, carrying them on each of her hands and followed. This secret path was well lit, shining with a pure white light. It was just that there were bone spikes everywhere, stabbed into the walls like sharp spears. These bone spears were densely packed, sealing the whole tunnel. There was only a little space between them, allowing Fang Yuan to see a hall beyond them. It seems this is the reason you came to Baigu Mountain. I'll open a path for us. Bai Ningbing moved ahead, trying to use the chainsaw golden centipede, but Fang Yuan stopped her. These bone spears are extremely tough. Don't be in a hurry. Fang Yuan searched around according to what Bai Hua had said in his previous life. He found the shortest spiral bone spike and pulled it. Creak. Another sound of some mechanisms being activated. The cave behind the two sealed itself while the bone spears in the tunnel contracted back into the walls. Suddenly, the path ahead was smooth and unobstructed. Fang Yuan laughed heartily, turning and saying to Bai Ningbing, "Welcome to Baigu Mountain." Bai Ningbing's gaze flickered as she looked behind subconsciously. The cave entrance behind her had sealed itself. The Bai Clan Gu masters would need to spend quite a bit of time to pursue them at least to open this cave entrance. Bai Ningbing's lips curled, revealing an excited smile. Everything had become interesting. This was the life that she was after. Chapter 222, Whitebone Inheritance 1. The secret tunnel was not long. After walking for a while, Fang and Bai arrived at a huge hall. The pure white hall was made out of bones. In the center was a huge vat. The vat was filled with milk-like white liquid that was giving off a fragrant smell. As Fang Yuan got close to it, his memories resurfaced. According to Bai Hua, this vat should be connected to a spring below it. This spring was a milk spring. The spring water tasted like milk, a clean, sweet taste. Not only was it a top-tier beverage, it was also extremely nutritious. Children grew better drinking it, and the elderly could maintain a strong, healthy body as well. Milk Spring was the specialty product of Baigu Mountain. In Fang Yuan's previous life. After Bai Clan relocated here, they unearthed 5 milk springs, causing it to become their specialty production and even used it as a commercial product to attract many traders and merchants to come and make a deal. There is a gu inside this vat, Fang Yuan said, indicating to Bai Ningbing using his gaze. Although according to his memories, there was no danger at this location, Fang Yuan was vigilant. After all, this was not something he had experienced personally, and his information was all from a third party. Things that carried risks, he'd rather let others do it. Bai Ningbing snorted, activating her defense and putting her hand into the vat. There are so many gu inside. Her brows raised in shock. When she pulled her hand out, her hand was full of gu worms. These gu were as large as a human finger and were completely white. One end was round while the other was sharp, like a miniature spear. This was the bone spear gu. Although this gu is only rank 1, the whole vat is almost filled to the brim with it. Bai Ningbing was slightly excited. Bone Spear Gu is similar to Guyu Clan's Moonlight Gu in that it was the foundational gu of the Whitebone Inheritance. In his previous life, after Bai Clan found this inheritance, many of the clan's gu masters equipped this gu. Thus the Bone Spear Gu also became a characteristic of Bai Clan's gu masters. Look around again, there should be a rank 2 gu inside. Fang Yuan stood at the side with a plain expression. Bai Ningbing hauled for a few more times, before finally finding a rank 2 gu. This gu is similar to the Bone Spear Gu, but on the surface of the bone spear, there were spiral markings, Spiral Bone Spear Gu. This gu was the evolution of the Bone Spear Gu. Its attack power and penetrative force was higher than the Bone Spear Gu. In the huge vat, the Bone Spear Gu was in the majority, and only a small number were Spiral Bone Spear Gu. This way, I finally have a standard method of attacking. Fang Yuan grabbed a Spiral Bone Spear Gu and thought. Charred Thunder Potato Gu was very unstable. It needed to be planted in the ground, and it would have been planted in vain if others do not step on it. Also, if a gu master with poor memory planted it and forgot the location of the potatoes, he might even injure himself by accident. Moreover, the Charred Thunder Potato Gu's use had restrictions. It must be used in soil, and the more fertile the soil, the better. As for a special location like Baigu Mountain, the Charred Thunder Potato could not be used. Otherwise, Fang Yuan would not mind setting 1 or 2 more traps here. A pity there isn't a rank 3 gu. Bai Ningbing was slightly disappointed. She chose a Spiral Bone Spear Gu and placed it into her sleeves, planning to refine it later. She only felt curiosity towards these types of rank 2 gu worms. They could not display the true power of a rank 3 gu master in battles. Seeing no danger in the vat, Fang Yuan started to act. He hauled gu worms after gu worms out of the vat, and used the Spring Autumn Cicada's aura to instantly refine them using his primeval essence. You this. What? Bai Ningbing was tongue-tied at this scene. In the matter of a few minutes, Fang Yuan had already refined a few dozen gu worms, and he was still continuing. Because of the Spring Autumn Cicada, he could instantly refine them. And because of his aptitude in the Heavenly Essence Treasure Lotus, his primeval essence recovery speed was much greater than the refining expenditure, thus he could continue the refinement non-stop. This was a crazy sight. Fang Yuan refined over 200 Bone Spear Gu in his aperture, and over 20 spiral bone spear GU.GU refinement was a tough barrier for Gu masters, although Bai Ningbing had seen Fang Yuan instantly refine Gu a few times before. It had never been so visually impactful. In Fang Yuan's hand, refining Gu worms was as easy as eating and drinking. No, it was simply as easy as blinking. Simply way too easy. What secret does he have? Bai Ningbing was very shocked. Fang Yuan's image became even more mysterious in her heart. But on the surface, she just curled her lips and said calmly, "You got so many Gu worms at once, can you afford to raise them?" Fang Yuan laughed. Of course not. Bone spear Gu, spiral bone spear Gu, they all fed on milk. Thus, they were kept in this vat of milk. Don't see how this milk spring is one full vat. The expenditure was huge, only because there is a spring eye at the bottom of the vat. Can it sustain till now? If Fang Yuan wants to raise and feed so many Gu worms, he would need to have a milk spring himself. Even though I can't feed them, I would rather bring more with me than let the Bai clan people gain them. Fang Yuan laughed, pointing to the vat. All right, destroy the rest of the Gu. The vat had way too many Gu worms, although Fang Yuan refined a lot of them. Considering the limits of his rank 1 aperture, there was still a large number left behind. A moment later, Bai Ningbing looked at the floor of Gu corpses with a complicated expression. She knew clearly what the value of these Gu were. Destroying them was tantamount to destroying a small mountain of primeval stones. Even Bai Ningbing felt heartache. But, rather than leaving them for enemies and letting Bai clan take them and grow stronger, they might as well destroy all the Gu. The two left the hall and moved along another secret tunnel, getting to the second white hall. At the center of the hall, there were 3 white bone pillars. At the tip of the pillar, it was carved into a human hand, without skin or flesh, only left with bones. In the white bone hand, they each held 1 Gu. 3 pillars, 3 slumbering Gu worms. Fang and Bai got closer and saw what was carved on the pillars, explaining characteristics of the 3 Gu. Ribcage shield Gu, flying bone shield Gu, arm bone wings Gu. Bai Ningbing stared at the pillar, muttering. Very quickly, her gaze was focused on a line. 3, choose one, satisfied at heart. Bai Gu inheritance, left for future descendants. The meaning was obvious. They can only choose 1 Gu, and leave the others to future inheritors. Ribcage shield Gu could cause a Gu master to grow 2 rows of ribcages, shielding their chest, and had great defense. It was a rank 3 Gu, advantages being, other than the initial growth period, which needs a lot of primeval essence. Afterwards it can be sustained without primeval essence, something like the heavenly essence treasure lotus, after it is refined. It can be used without injecting primeval essence. Flying bone shield Gu, after using, 3 flying bone shields would fly out, being small and floating around the Gu master's surroundings. Arm bone wings Gu would grow a pair of bone wings at the forearm area. Waving the wings would increase movement speed slightly. Most importantly, it increased attack speed. Ribcage shield Gu can be used together with the carapace Gu to form defenses front and back. But the carapace Gu is bound to be replaced, and only the ribcage shield Gu alone is not wide enough. I have the jumping grass, and do not fight close combat. The arm bone wings Gu is also useless. Fang Yuan thought about it, and chose the flying bone shield Gu. He smashed the bone arm, refining the flying bone shield Gu and keeping it in his aperture. As for the other 2 Gu, he did not touch them. This is a righteous faction inheritance. This area tested the self-control of the inheritor, if they cannot control their greed and desires. Taking all 3 Gu, then the future tunnels would change drastically. Although there would not be devious traps, their rewards would be much lower. Righteous inheritance is unlike demonic inheritance. Normally speaking, they are designed kindly. Gu masters having luck to encounter their opportunities would gain them. The only difference is how much. Bai Ningbing, seeing Fang Yuan not moving, also did not dare to move the pillars, afraid of special traps. The 2 moved along the secret tunnel, entering a 3rd hall. There was no more tunnels now after the hall, only 1 human skeleton in the cave in a sitting position. Before the human skeleton, there was a huge book. This book was made with bones. As long as an arm, wide as half an arm, and as thick as 8 inches. Fang Yuan indicated to Bai Ningbing to pick it up, and seeing no danger, took the book from her. This book was named Grey Bone Huge Book by the Bai clan twins in his previous life. Inside, there were many refinement recipes as well as the creator of the inheritance, Grey Bone Scholar's life experiences and why he set up this inheritance. Fang Yuan flipped the book. It was truly so. This is a genuine righteous inheritance. At the end of the book it says, this corpse is the gray bone scholar himself. If the future inheritor has the kindness, they might as well pay respects to it and kowtow 3 times. Afterwards, they can split the skull apart and obtain 1 gu. That is the gray bone scholar's life-found gu. If the inheritor obtains it, they should make the world a better place and uphold justice. Fang Yuan laughed upon seeing this, handing the gray bone huge book to Bai Ningbing and kneeling on the ground, kowtowing 3 times respectfully. This was a true kowtow. His forehead hit the rough floor, emitting 3 loud sounds. Bai Ningbing was surprised, not expecting this side of Fang Yuan. After Fang Yuan finished, he stood up, and there was no commotion. In the hall, he did not mind it, smiling lightly. In this hall, there are no more secret tunnels, but it is not the end. This place tests the inheritor's nature. If the person is kind-hearted and knows gratitude, they would kowtow. If they do 3 genuine knocks on the ground, a new tunnel would appear. But this is only one aspect. If they not only kowtow, but do not move the corpse, showing respect for the corpse of the senior, a second path would appear. In the previous life, Bai Sheng and Bai Hua both kowtow, but Bai Hua was afraid of pain, not giving off a loud sound. But Bai Sheng triggered the first path. Bai Sheng wanted to retrieve the gu, but Bai Hua stood him, wanting to leave the senior in peace. Thus, Bai Hua triggered the second path. Fang Yuan thought about it, looking at Bai Hua and Bai Sheng. They were carried by Bai Ningbing, still unconscious. Bai Ningbing also looked at them, sighing. It seems that from now on, we have to rely on these 2 to protect our lives. But I am very curious what the life-found gu of this gray bone scholar is. Let's split the skull. Fang Yuan shook his head. This is the most exquisite part of the inheritance. Curiosity would make a person want to see the gu inside the skull, and the better they imagine it, it would be even greater than seeing the real thing. Don't be rash. Once he finished, a part of the bone wall shrunk, moving away and revealing a new tunnel. I see. Bai Ningbing seemed to have understood something, about to strike but stopped by Fang Yuan. Although this cave is correct, it is not the most valuable one. Wait a bit longer. Waiting makes time feel much slower, especially when Fang and Bai are still being pursued by Bai clan. After waiting for 5 minutes, Bai Ningbing started to get impatient, but suddenly a new door slid open, revealing another tunnel. Haha, this is it. Fang Yuan laughed loudly, moving forward and raising his leg, smashing gray bone scholar's corpse to bits. When this tunnel appeared, the corpse lost its meaning. Fang Yuan took out a gu from the skull, a rank 3 bone spike gu. Chapter 223, White Bone Inheritance 2. Rumble. There was an explosion. Smoke and dust filled the air before clearing up to reveal a cave. There really was a cave. No wonder they disappeared completely. They must have entered this cave. It's odd. Why is there such a mechanism here? Ah, clan leader is here. Bai clan leader had arrived just in time to see the group blasting open the wall and revealing the secret tunnel. This should be an inheritance ground. Accompanying the clan leader was Tai Daoku, who deduced it at a glance. So it was like that. Those 2 thieves' true destination was here. Bai clan leader gritted her teeth as a chilling light flashed past her eyes. Truly great acting. She had been recalling the scenes of her interaction with these 2 in these few days. On her way here, the more she recalled, the angrier she got. She was actually duped by 2 youths. The majestic Bai clan leader along with a group of clansmen were all playing into 2 juniors' hands. If words of this were to spread, it would be an enormous strike towards Bai clan's reputation. Junior didn't handle it properly and couldn't protect the 2 young masters. Clan leader, I asked for punishment. Bai Lian, Bai Shangjing and others nervously knelt on the ground, asking for forgiveness. Stand up. You only did it according to my instructions. If we have to blame someone, we can only blame those 2 thieves for being too cunning. Bai clan leader's words relieved Bai Lian and the group from a great burden. You have been in contact with these 2 thieves all the time. Did you really not find any flaws? Tai Daoku asked. The 3 girls stood up with complicated expressions. It was especially so for Bai Lian. She had been thinking she was playing Fang and Bai like toys in her palms, but to think that she was the one that was played. There were no flaws. Those 2 were too capable at pretending. Thinking back now, they were using our Bai clan. Truly cunning and devious. The 3 girls shook their heads as a reply to Tai Daoku. Tai Daoku had also learned about the general situation from Bai clan leader on the way. Of course, the matter regarding Bai clan Spirit Spring was naturally not revealed. Yes, as you say, those 2 thieves' real purpose should have been this place. Their strength is not enough to let them wander around Baigu Mountain. So they borrowed your Bai clan's strength. Tai Daoku analyzed from a third-person view. Bai clan's Gu masters' faces turned ugly upon hearing him. It was indeed so. In these days, they had sacrificed a lot and paid a huge price to pave a way through Baigu Mountain. However, they ended up paving the way for Feng and Bai. Curse these two scoundrels. If those two thieves land in my hand, I will cut them into pieces. Clan leader, let my group take this task. I will kill those bastards and wipe away this disgrace. In an instant, the mountain cave was filled with angry uproars. Bai clan leader looked around her before slightly nodding her head. It was not that she didn't want cruelest deaths for Feng and Bai. As the mother of Bai Shang and Bai Hua, she hated not being able to be with her children at this moment. Morale was at its peak as the entire clan was motivated by anger. Bai clan leader looked towards the elder who had asked her to let him take the task. Then I order your group to pave the way through this secret tunnel. Yes. The elder accepted the command. Hold up. The bone spikes in this passage are uneven and completely sealed off. How did those two thieves enter inside? There must be some mechanism. Let me check it first. Tai Daoku raised an objection. The elder who had just accepted the command glared. It is an emergency now. The two masters are in grave danger. It's going to take forever trying to slowly look for the mechanism. Bone spike goo. Fang Yuan held this goo and observed its details. This goo was about a fist-sized and was like a ball cactus, with thorns like bone spikes all over on its surface. It was also somewhat heavy. It was a rank 3 goo, a typical goo which would damage both the enemy and the user. If the enemy received 1000 damage, then the user would be inflicted with 800 damage. The reason was when a goo master used it, their skeleton would undergo changes before sharp and hard bone spikes protrude out. Before even using these bone spikes to confront the enemy, these bone spikes would first pierce through the goo master's own flesh and skin. The pain was still secondary. If there wasn't a corresponding healing goo to pair up with it, the situation would truly be messed up. The enemy might not die, but it sure would seriously injure the goo master that used it. What goo is this? Bai Ningbing curiously gazed at it. But when she heard Fang Yuan's introduction, she lost all her interest. It was not that she was afraid of pain, but rather she was already using ice muscle goo. All the flesh on her body was already permanently changed to ice muscle. By the ability of ice muscles goo, it not only gave her defense but also stopped perspiration and stopped bleeding. However, if she used this bone spikes goo, it would first remove her ice muscles, which to her was a loss instead of gain. Fang Yuan was also not too interested in this bone spikes goo. But it was after all a rank 3 goo, thus Fang Yuan refined it and stored it in his aperture for the moment. Let's go. Fang Yuan chose the hidden door which appeared in the last. Bai Ningbing was still the one to scout ahead. A downward flight of stairs was spread inside the door. This flight of stairs was long, at least about 1,000 meters. The surrounding lights gradually dimmed when they reached the latter half of the stairs, and the stairs were also getting narrower. By the time Fang and Bai reached the end of the stairs, the light had almost completely disappeared. In front of them was a tightly closed door. There were 4 words carved on the door: Flesh Sack Secret Chamber. These bones are really goddamn hard. Bai clan elder cursed out as he wiped the sweat off his forehead. 15 minutes had already passed, but they had only opened the secret tunnel by half. These uneven, densely packed bone spikes didn't look any different from the stones of Baigu Mountain. But only after attacking them would one realize how shocking hard these bones were. Bai clan leader's expression also didn't look good. The more time passed by, the more danger her children could be in. Right now, this mother felt a century had painfully passed by instead of just 15 minutes. However, as a clan leader, she had to be calm and cool even if it was only on the surface. She had to be a role model to give confidence to her clansmen. Crack. Suddenly, a light sound echoed. The mechanism had turned on, causing the remaining bone spikes to swiftly shrink back to the holes on the cave walls. Everyone was shocked and looked towards the source one after another. Tai Daoku touched his chin and analyzed to himself. This mechanism is somewhat ingenious. To open the entrance, one would need to twist the spiral bone spike. This leaves a deep impression on people, and when people come to this secret tunnel, they would often rely on this impression and try twisting the spiral bone spikes near them. Unfortunately, to shut down this mechanism would require one to pull up the spiral bone spike and not twist them. In that instant, everyone was dumbfounded. The elder who had accepted the command was now completely red and seemed to be very embarrassed. After the group passed through this secret tunnel, they arrived at the first hall. They were stunned. All around them were dismembered corpses. These corpses were the result of Bai Ningbing killing the goo worms that were in the vat. These should be bone spear goo. And there are also spiral bone spear goo. Some elders quickly recognize these goo. This really is an inheritance ground. In all my life, this is the first time I am experiencing it. Someone said excitedly. Look, there is a big vat in the middle. What could be inside it? Someone curiously pointed at the vat. However, the vat didn't have anything other than the milk spring. The Bai clan group were disappointed and then turned furious. These thieves really don't leave room for compromise. They didn't leave behind anything. Damn it, so heartless. They destroyed so many goo worms. Many cursed out in sorrow and indignation. Even the elders felt grief at this. Let's move quickly. The earlier we catch them, the less the damage we suffer. Tai Daoku said, causing everyone's gazes to brighten. With this stimulation, the morale of the group increased even higher, wishing they could immediately appear in front of Feng and Bai. The group then arrived at the second hall and saw the 3 stone pillars. There are goo worms left. The goo master in front shouted in happiness. Please take a look, clan leader. Soon, Armbone Wings and Rib Shield goo both appeared in the clan leader's sight. Bai clan leader glanced at them and then made her people stow them. She didn't feel any happiness. Compared to goo worms, she was more concerned for her children's safety. Did you see? Those 2 goo are rank 3 goo worms. This inheritance really makes one anticipate what's coming. Luck and misfortune comes in turn. This saying is really true. Some were deeply moved and some were in awe. Don't you find it odd? Why did they leave behind these goo? On the contrary, Tai Daoku could clearly sense something fishy as a spectator. 3. Choose one. Satisfied at heart. By goo inheritance, left for future descendants. Someone soon discovered the words carved in the stone pillar. This doesn't look like a demonic path inheritance. I am afraid it is left behind by a righteous path goo master. TSK, heart is satisfied. But none of us are satisfied. Let's move, quick. We need to save the 2 young masters first. It won't be late to visit it again later. The group urged each other and arrived to the 3rd hall. They saw the skeleton sitting cross-legged in an enormous bone book, Gray Bone Scholar. So this inheritance belonged to the senior. An elder opened the book and realized that this was indeed a righteous path inheritance. Bai clan leader's furrowed brows relaxed a little. This was the first good news she had heard till now. Righteous path inheritance was usually mild and wasn't treacherous like demonic path inheritance. Tai Daoku, however, was starting to frown. He increasingly felt something was wrong. The words on the stone pillar had given to an indescribable worry in him. The group picked up the smashed skull and saw a bone spike goo inside it. Following that, a part of the stone wall slid open and showed a new secret tunnel. The group entered this passage. Flesh sack secret chamber. Bai Ningbing murmured before trying to push open the door. The door was not locked at all and easily opened. Behind the door was a hidden room which was not that big, but was very grotesque. The walls in the hidden room were all made of flesh. When Feng and Bai walked inside, they felt like they had walked into the stomach of some monster. The flesh walls were warm and slightly throbbed rhythmically as if there was a heart inside them. As if sensing someone's presence. The flesh walls suddenly opened up a small crack and revealed white teeth all over it. Bai Ningbing was astonished. There seemed to be countless open large mouths in the flesh walls. The mouths opened up with jaws clenched, revealing a set of even teeth. The phrase, baring one's fangs, seemed to match this scene perfectly. Hee hee hee. Ha ha ha. Hee hee hee. These mouths let out all kinds of laughing sounds. The laughs mixed together and echoed in this narrow secret chamber. Anyone that heard it would feel their hearts palpitate. Chapter 224, White Bone Inheritance, End. This flesh sack secret chamber was strange. The surrounding flesh walls were filled with mouths, and the mouths were open, revealing tightly clenched white teeth. Not only this, these mouths were even letting out strange laughters, making one shiver all over. Fang Yuan patted Bai Ningbing's shoulder. This is the effect of flesh laughter goo. It is just like earth treasury flour, and is used to store goo worms. No need to worry too much. He had just finished saying this, when suddenly the teeth completely fell off from an open mouth and a scarlet tongue extended from the mouth. The tongue was very long, about over a meter, and the front part was curled up. When the tongue fully extended, the tip of the tongue started straightening and revealed a book on it. This was a bone book too, except it was many times smaller than the gray bone huge book, pocket-sized, about half of an adult's palm. Fang Yuan took it and then started looking through it. The main idea behind the contents of the book was, since the successor could reach this place, it is a proof of your pure nature, and you can now inherit my true inheritance. I have 2 identities. Gray Bone Scholar, and Flesh Bone Master. This flesh sac secret chamber holds many goo. If the successor is fated, you can try knocking the teeth. If your luck is good and you open the teeth, you could take the goo worm hibernating inside. This is purely testing one's luck. Fang Yuan understood when he read this. Bai Hua hadn't told him about this barrier in detail. In his previous life, Fang Yuan could only test it randomly. The first to succeed, however, wasn't him, but Bai Ningbing. Bai Ningbing bent her forefinger and lightly knocked the teeth. These teeth were like musical instruments and would produce some kind of clear musical tone when they were hit. She had just randomly knocked, and this mouth suddenly stopped its laughter. Its teeth completely fell off, and scarlet long tongue extended out from it, revealing within it a goo. What goo is this? After looking at this goo, pleasant surprise emerged in Bai Ningbing's face before changing into an odd expression. This goo looked quite peculiar as it looked like a set of dentures, spotless white teeth with an exceptionally neat set of upper and lower teeth, and gave off a pearl-like luster. Fang Yuan looked at it, and immediately, a pleasantly surprised expression appeared on his face. Not bad. This is the famous rank 3 healing goo. Fleshbone goo. Raising the dead, flesh white bone, Bai Ningbing mumbled. Rising dead goo was accepted as the number 1 healing goo among rank 4. Even if a goo master died, as long as the time of death didn't cross 14 hours and their whole bodies were intact, one could use this goo to resurrect them. However, this goo could only be obtained by chance and not by seeking it, as it was too valuable and rare. It was also a one-time use expendable goo, with high demand but no supply. Fleshbone was a rank 3 goo, but it wasn't an expendable goo and could be used again and again. It was often used together with rising dead goo. If a goo master's corpse wasn't intact, one could first use fleshbone goo to reconstruct their flesh, and then use rising dead goo to resurrect the goo master. Throughout the history, this pairing was quite common and had benefited a lot of big shots. Among them were even rank 9. Immortal Venerables and Demon Venerables. This was an ideal healing goo to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan had painfully searched for such a long time, and now his wish was finally being realized. He want it? You can exchange it with Yang goo. Bai Ningbing held this goo in his hand and laughed in satisfaction. Fang Yuan sneered. You think I am stupid? Bai Ningbing's smile faded and her gaze became cold. We can come to an agreement as long as you hand over the Yang goo. Fang Yuan, I have followed you for so long, but know that my patience has a limit. I am no longer afraid of death. At worst we will both die together. You aren't afraid of death, but do you think I am afraid? Fang Yuan sneered. He had already expected such a situation and thus wasn't surprised. Bai Ningbing took back her gaze and then carefully checked the flesh-bone goo on her hand. The corner of her lips curled up. Killing you might also be a good option. Look at yourself. You only have rank 1 cultivation, but you can actually instantly refine goo. And you also have the heavenly essence treasure lotus. Besides these, if I kill you, I can at least possess this inheritance. Just thinking about it makes my heart beat in excitement. Bai Ningbing's words were full of threat. Possess this inheritance? Haha, did you forget the Bai clan who is chasing us? They might even be walking down the flight of stairs outside right this moment. Without me, do you know where to go to next? This inheritance looks like a one-way path from the surface, but actually has many branches. I can indeed not fight you at the moment, but you are too naive to think you can seize the treasures by killing me. Do you think I will give you the opportunity to take the Yang goo? Just try it, if you don't believe me. Fang Yuan then turned around and started knocking at the teeth again. In fact, he also didn't know where to go from here, as this secret chamber didn't have any other passages. Bai Ningbing looked at the completely defenseless back of Fang Yuan. It looked like she could kill him if she just made a slight move. But against all reason, Bai Ningbing, however, didn't dare make a move recklessly. Fang Yuan's words all struck her mind. Without Fang Yuan, how should she move next? Returning the way she came would be a death road. Bai Ningbing narrowed her eyes. And for a moment, she even felt, is even the Bai clan's attack under Fang Yuan's calculation? Creating an external force to prevent her from killing him for the benefits. Till now, Bai Ningbing was in a puzzled state. She couldn't understand. Why would Bai clan cooperate and accompany Fang Yuan all the way here? In fact, her heart concealed deep worry ever since she was controlled by Fang Yuan. Yang Gu was with Fang Yuan. She had always been worried Fang Yuan would use this to threaten her. Although Fang Yuan said he would hand over the Yang Gu to her once his cultivation reached rank 3, what kind of person was Fang Yuan? Bai Ningbing couldn't be more clear about this. Going back on his words was a common thing to him. As natural as eating food and drinking water, she might as well go die rather than to believe in Fang Yuan. That let's take an example of something that happened just recently. That miserable Bai clan leader, wasn't she an able woman? An elite and a very wise person, but after believing in Fang Yuan, what was her current state? Fang Yuan was too good of an actor. Goosebumps covered Bai Ningbing's body when she recalled the scene of Fang Yuan's tears in the banquet. This was a genuine sly fox. He even intentionally glanced at Bai Lian repeatedly, just to lay a trap in which Bai clan was very happy to step in. She could still remember the brilliant expression on Bai Lian when Fang Yuan revolted, shocked, and lifeless. What Bai Ningbing was most worried about now was Fang Yuan not handing over the Yanggu even after reaching rank 3, but the possibility was too big. Now I am a rank 3 and he is still rank 1. I can still hold some initiative. But in the future when his cultivation reaches rank 3 or higher, wouldn't I just be controlled by him and become his chess piece? Bai Ningbing was holding this kind of worry in her heart, and this worry deepened even more after Fang Yuan used green copper relic goo and instantly broke through to rank 1 upper stage. Bai Ningbing was worried. But right now, there were many who were more worried than her, their worries even reaching an extreme point. What's going on? A group of people stood outside the exit of the inheritance and looked at their surroundings, their faces turning horribly ugly. They had moved quickly through the path and charged through several bone halls. They were able to make some gains, but from the start to end, they didn't encounter Fang and Bai. In the end, they walked out of the secret tunnel to the outside of the mountain. It really is like this. Tai Dao Ku suddenly exclaimed. His words immediately attracted the attention of many. Brother Tai, what do you mean? Bai clan leader immediately asked. If it was before, she would have already realized the answer with her astute senses. But now, her children were kidnapped, and as time continued to pass by, she became more disconcerted. This Baigu Mountain inheritance seems to be a one-way path, but it actually has many branches. Like this branch in my hand. He casually broke off a thin branch from a bone tree near him. The path at the start should have been the same for both us and them. Thus we could see their traces on our way. But afterwards, we should have walked through a branch path, and they should have walked into another branch. Do you still remember the second hall? There were 3 pillars, and I suspect that there was a contraption set up in the pillars. When we walked into the third hall, there was the gray bone scholar's skeleton, but there were no signs of the skeleton being moved. The crucial point should be the secret tunnel after the second hall. Tai Dao Ku hadn't finished speaking when Bai clan leader coldly shouted, "Let's go back." Time continued to pass. Fang Yuan really wished time could extend by 50-60 times right now. He knew Baigu Mountain's inheritance. It could at most hoodwink someone for a while. When Bai clan Gu masters realized the truth behind the structures, he and Bai Ningbing would be in danger. But as it so happens, he didn't know how to continue from here. The secret chamber didn't have any other passages. They definitely couldn't return back the way they came. Even if the majority of Bai clan group walked through another passage, they will definitely have some people guarding the exit. Could this secret chamber already be the final area? Did Bai Hua and Bai Sheng obtain all their goo worms from these mouths? That can't be. The rumors in my previous life said Bai Hua and Bai Sheng arrived at a precipice after going through this inheritance site. This rumor has been publicly approved by Bai clan. Maybe the mechanism to open the passage is hidden in one of these mouths. Fang Yuan's mind moved lightning fast. They didn't have much time left. Bai Ningbing was confused. He didn't know the state they were in and only thought Fang Yuan had made some plans. However, Fang Yuan knew their situation was becoming more perilous. This door didn't have any defensive functions. Who knows whether a furious mob of Bai clan Gu masters might come crashing down the door the next moment. By then, we can only rely on Bai Hua and Bai Sheng as our protective amulets. But this is not a very reliable guarantee. This world has many magical goo worms. There are many with control abilities like causing dizziness, hypnosis, paralysis, and so on. Bai clan is a powerful clan and definitely has such methods. When he thought of this, Fang Yuan couldn't help looking at Bai Hua and Bai Sheng. The twin siblings were lying on the ground, still unconscious. Got it. Fang Yuan suddenly got a great idea. He decided to wake up these two kids. First of all, time was pressing. He needed more manpower. Second, Bai Hua and Bai Sheng were the true fated owners of Baigu Mountain inheritance. What's more, they were both mortals. There was no need to worry they could cause any accidents. Executing his ideas immediately, Fang Yuan quickly walked over and kicked the twins. Chapter 225, Jade Bones, Steel Bones. Rumble. There was an explosive sound before the bone wall collapsed. A new path appeared in everyone's sights. Destroying was much easier than creating, especially when this inheritance didn't have anyone controlling it. We have news from ahead. The fifth path has been completely investigated, but the target hasn't been found. Reporting to clan leader, I entered the sixth path and found a bone hall. There was a skeleton and a huge bone book in it. Reporting, seventh path also has a hall with similar structure, with a skeleton sitting cross-legged and also a bone book. Reporting, discovered the eighth path. Search again. My clan leader's face was gloomy. There were over 7 giant bone books piled up in front of her. This design really is in accordance to people's hearts. When a Gu master finds the skeleton and the bone book, they would subconsciously have a misunderstanding by thinking they already inherited the whole inheritance. But in truth, Grey Bone Scholar has set up many similarly structured halls. The true inheritance should be hidden in one of the paths. Tai Daoku was deeply interested. By clan leader's brows furrowed even deeper. The situation had become complicated. She wasn't worried Fang and Bai would head back the way they came, since she had already arranged many people to guard the entrance. What she was worried about was Fang and Bai would escape from some paths in the inheritance. After all, she could only control the entrance and not the countless exits. Right at this moment, a Gu master rushed over with an ecstatic expression. Found it. We found a bone hall in the eighth path. The skeleton in there has been smashed to pieces and the Gu worm in the skull has also been taken. This is definitely the path they took. Tai Daoku's spirits was raised. Lead the way. Bai clan leader immediately moved. After a short period, a group of people hurriedly arrived at a hall. How can there be 2 secret tunnels? An elder was surprised. Which path did those 2 demonic path thieves take? Regardless, we will just go in 2 groups. Once we reach them, we must protect the young masters no matter what. The flight of stairs that led to Flesh Sack's secret chamber stood out and attracted the attention of Bai clan leader, Tai Daoku, and most of the elders. Flesh Sack's secret chamber? After a while, the group reached the end of the stairs. Boom. The door was smashed to smithereens, and the group flocked inside. However, there was not a soul in the secret chamber. Hee hee hee. Ha ha ha. Hee hee. The countless mouths on the wall produced all kinds of laughing sounds. What nonsense is this? Laughter meat goo, especially used to store treasures. These mouths are like drawers. This mouth is open quite wide. They might have gone through here. Bai clan leader glanced around before finally, her chilly gaze stared at the only secret tunnel in this chamber. You, and you will remain behind. Rest of you will follow me. A while ago, in the same secret chamber, Bai Sheng had just regained his consciousness when he felt a sharp pain in his stomach. If you don't want to die, stand up. Shortly, he heard a ruthless voice. Towards this voice, Bai Sheng had the deepest impression of it. It was precisely the owner of this voice who had cheated a whole clan and kidnapped him. Even the identity of Guyu clan's young master might be a scammer, hoodlum, demon. Despite cursing in his heart, Bai Sheng still obediently crawled up. He only then found that he was in an extremely strange place. The flesh walls around him were filled with mouths and were producing cacophony of laughters which was reverberating in his ears. Flesh laughter Gu? He blurted out as he recalled the records in the books. Little guy, you are young but are quite knowledgeable. Fang Yuan smiled. According to the rumors in his previous life, he heard this Bai clan brother and sister were innately intelligent. Especially the big brother Bai Sheng who had high wisdom even at young age with a memory ability that was close to photographic memory. Right now, he was able to recognize the flesh laughter Gu. It seemed the rumors were not baseless. You too. Bai Sheng gritted his teeth and stared at Fang Yuan and Bai Ningbing with deep hatred. Big brother. Bai Hua had also been kicked awake by Fang Yuan. She ran to Bai Sheng's side while sobbing. Bai Sheng promptly protected his sister behind him. What a great sibling relationship. Bai Ningbing chuckled. You malevolent woman. You grew up so beautiful, but your heart is as poisonous as a scorpion. Bai Sheng fearlessly scolded. The smile on Bai Ningbing's face immediately disappeared. Bai Sheng's words deeply stabbed her. Woman, beautiful, she didn't want to hear these words even a little bit. Slap, slap, slap. She walked forward and grabbed Bai Sheng before slapping him thrice. She possessed the strength of a crocodile, and although she restrained majority of her strength, after she finished with her slaps, Bai Sheng's 2 cheeks turned red and swollen. Venomous woman, evil woman, kill me if you have guts. However, Bai Sheng still continued to curse. Slap, slap, slap. Bai Ningbing gave him another 3 slaps. Sob sob, let my big brother go. Please release my big brother. Bai Hua grasped Bai Ningbing's leg and implored, crying, Sister, don't beg her. Bai Sheng spoke with difficulty. Fang Yuan sighed. He then walked forward and grabbed Bai Hua's collar. The little girl cried out in panic when she was lifted by Fang Yuan. Bai Sheng could not longer act unyielding as he anxiously shouted, Evil thief! Let go of my sister! Fang Yuan extended another hand and tightly pinched Bai Hua's cheek, before saying in an unhurried tone, So noisy, if you make any more noise, do you believe that I will cut off both of your tongues? Yes, how about I start by cutting off this little girl's tongue first? A slight smile raised the corners of his lips. Cold light flashed in his eyes as he released his killing intent. Bai Hua was so scared she didn't dare to weep anymore. Tears floated in her eyes. Bai Sheng wanted to open his mouth to talk back, but his heart immediately palpitated with a glance from Fang Yuan, and he shut his mouth. This is good. Obediently cooperate with me and maybe I will let you live. Fang Yuan was still smiling. Bai Ningbing's mouth twitched. However, Fang Yuan immediately added on, I am saying the truth. I don't dare to make an enemy of your mother. Capturing you is also to ensure our safety. If you obey us, we will let you go. Of course, if you don't cooperate, haha, I don't mind cutting off your tongues or few of your fingers to play with. Then what do you want us to do? Bai Sheng took a deep breath. He wasn't afraid of the cold Bai Ningbing, but was afraid of the smiling Fang Yuan. Do you see these mouths in the walls? Fang Yuan's smile turned even bigger. He explained the details and let these brother and sister go about knocking the teeth. Barely a moment had passed when Bai Hua cried out in fear. In front of her, a mouth opened up. Its scarlet tongue extended and revealed a quail egg-sized bone ball. The ball was covered with black and white stripes, making Fang Yuan associate with an animal from Earth, zebra. Fang Yuan quickly walked over and took this goo, his countenance changing in pleasant surprise. If he wasn't wrong, this was a movement-type goo, footless bird. This goo could only be used once, but its body was big and it could fly thousands of miles. This really was like receiving a pillow when one was sleepy. Fang Yuan had just been worried about how to escape, and to think Bai Hua would present him with a footless bird. However, this pleasant surprise was just the beginning. After a while, Bai Sheng also achieved success. He knocked and opened a mouth. A bone was revealed on its tongue. The 2 ends of this bone was smooth and round. The middle part was long and slender, and there was a greenish glow to the bone like a green jade stone. Jade bone goo. Fang Yuan held it, before immediately refining and putting it into his aperture. This time, it was Bai Ningbing's turn to be envious. Jade bone goo could remodel the goo master's skeleton into that of a jade-like quality, making the bones harder and more supple. This effect was permanent like black and white boar goo or the crocodile strength goo. Even more important thing was jade bone goo could be matched with ice muscle goo to produce excellent effect. Bai Ningbing already had ice muscle. If she also possessed jade bones, she would have ice muscles and jade bones. The 2 effects would mutually complement each other, producing a much better result. However, this jade bone goo was a one-time use expendable goo. It also had a shortcoming. The goo master would suffer from extremely intense pain when using it. A lot of goo masters with weak willpower have died from the pain of using the jade bone goo. Do you want it? You can exchange it with meat bone goo. Fang Yuan smiled. Bai Ningbing coldly snorted and turned around without replying, increasing her efforts in knocking the teeth, but this action was purely relying on one's luck. There were 10 pairs of teeth in a mouth, and one needed to at least knock 5 teeth in correct order for the teeth to fall off. Bai Ningbing hadn't succeeded apart from his first T or Y.as for Fang Yuan. He was even more miserable. However, after some time, Bai Hua and Bai Sheng again gave pleasant surprises. Bai Hua knocked down another set of teeth, providing Fang Yuan with an iron bone goo, and the mouth Bai Sheng knocked gradually opened wide, changing into a new secret tunnel. Such luck of the brother and sister made Bai Ningbing inwardly gasp in surprise. She didn't know this pair of brother and sister was the true fated owner of this inheritance. Fate was a type of otherworldly, magical, mystical strength, especially in this world. There were some rare goo worms that contained the fragments of the Law of Fate, giving some lucky goo masters a grasp of some powers of the fate. Since the new secret tunnel had appeared, Fang Yuan didn't think of staying any longer. Clan goo masters could arrive at any time, and the remaining goo worms were in the mouths which were locked firmly and were very difficult to destroy. They could only be left behind for them. Fang Yuan again knocked Bai Shang and Bai Hua unconscious, carrying them in each of his hands as he followed behind Bai Ning Bing into the giant mouth. The two came upon a hall as they walked through this secret tunnel. This was the widest bone hall they had come across. Just from the area alone, it was over 2 square kilometers. In the center of the hall was a bone pyramid. The peak was flattened into a platform with 2 flights of stairs leading to it. Fang Yuan and Bai Ning Bing looked at each other. There were nothing else other than this bone pyramid. After checking their surroundings and noticing no dangers, the two walked to the platform on the peak of the pyramid. There was a sculpture of a skull of a giant ferocious beast on the platform. It was taller than half a man and looked like a lion or a tiger, with tightly closed fangs.